Joining us now is Crystal Emery. Crystal is the founder and executive director of URU, the Right to Work Be Incorporated, a nonprofit media production organization. She is the producer and director of the film The Deadliest Disease in America, which addresses racism in healthcare practices. She is also the director of Changing the Face of Medicine and the author of Against All Odds, Celebrating Black Women in Medicine. And she joins us now. Crystal Emery, thanks for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So Changing the Face of Medicine is your new film. And tell us a little bit about what that's about.
Well, it's about what the title is, Changing the Face of Medicine. Right now, if you look within America, only 32% of the doctors are women. And of that 32%, only 2% are black women. And so, America is at a crossroads. And our initiative is designed to assist in changing the face of medicine and making it more representational of our population.
Now, what I think of when I hear that, Crystal Emery, is two things. One is there's just the simple matter of justice, which is that, the face of every profession, especially one as important and well regarded as medicine, should reflect the entirety of the society as it is. But the other is the fact that our minority communities are often mistreated and lacking when it comes to basic medical services and medical care, as I'm sure you know, and covered in your first film, the disparity in the quality of treatment being offered and the racism that's present even when, for example, an ambulance is equally distant between two hospitals or closer to a more, for lack of a better term, white and upscale hospital will often take an African-American patient in the other direction and so on. So I guess there are two reasons why this is such an important topic, the justice reason and the justice in medical care and delivery too as well. Is that pretty much right in your opinion?
Well, I think it addresses the humanity in all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have come to a place in America where we are starting to be willing to look at our ugliness,
Mm-hmm.
To look at racism and sexism. My friend Thomas Levis calls it the ism vortex. But I think that when you look in medicine and what are the principles of what a doctor is supposed to be, and when we talk about healing our nation, medicine is a good place to start. And all of this, trickles over into education, into housing, into jobs. And so it's a big mountain. And I've chosen just a small aspect of it where I think that we can make an impact, actually where we are making an impact.
So tell us a little bit about that. How are those numbers changing, improving, or are they, or what are we seeing? I mean, I know your film includes really inspirational stories of women, African American women who have become doctors, and I watched the trailer and saw a number of them, and just thought, for one thing, what an inspiring display of beautiful spirits that is, and strong people. But how is that situation getting better, you think?
I think it gets better with programs like yours. I think that all of us can do our part. So Dr. Jocelyn Elders puts it so eloquently. You can't be what you can't see. So last Sunday was our launching of the book, Against All Odds, Black Women in Medicine. And I have to tell you, the greatest part for me was watching our future doctors. They were the ages between 5 and 12, sit next to, the first black woman orthopedic surgeon. and sign books. That is something that we gave that child that no one can ever take away. No negative experience, no negative feedback can ever take away how they were empowered. And so they were able to experience seeing themselves dressed up as doctors, interacting with top professionals. And that is how you begin to change a belief system.
And that's the kind of story that chokes me up a little bit, because it is so beautiful and inspirational to me. And I know you talked about it's in the book, it's in the clips from the movie as well, that so many of these physicians have said, it's, in fact, I think all of them that I saw have said in one way or another, it started when I was a little girl. It started when I was 4. It started when I was 6. Started when I was whenever age. But that they really, and some of them saying, their parents would say to them, "Really?" But yeah, that's what they wanted. So it is. It's knowing at a young age. It's opening your heart to all the possibilities, isn't it?
It's opening your heart to the possibilities, and then it is having a roadmap. Mm-hmm. And so, what our educational initiative is going across the country is teaching parents, communities, and educators what that roadmap looks like. Because you can have a teacher who has soft expectations for a brilliant child, and that child never reach their potential.
Yeah, that's really true. We're first of all, we're talking with Crystal Emery, who is the producer and director of the new film Changing the Face of Medicine, and author of the book Against All Odds, Celebrating Black Women in Medicine. I've been around long enough that when I was young, that kind of diminishing of the spirit and of ambition was pretty overt. I mean, boys were told you can grow up to be a doctor, girls were told you can grow up to be a nurse, and so on. And then there was, on top of that, the racial aspect. But now I think what we probably see is that it's more subtle. It would never be said that way, but just in terms of the way educating teachers to treat a bright and gifted a young African-American girl child the same way they would treat a boy child of any race who had a passion or a talent, or might develop a passion for that field if they were exposed to it as a possibility.
Well, it's not subtle. It's very overt.
Is it? Yeah.
Because media is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And media constantly feeds us negative images of black people. They make people like Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey seem like they're an exception. Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey, if they were white, Chinese, would still be exceptional people.
Right.
But the media does not show, and I'm not just talking about feeding children's minds. We're talking about feeding on a global level images that are constantly negative. And so you have the people in the power positions only seeing negative images. You have children only seeing negative images. And so that is embedded in their psyche. What I want and what I've committed my work to do is to show positive images. I mean, black women in medicine are changing the face of medicine. It's the American dream. It's not just black women that are going through these obstacles. All women are facing these obstacles. And then if you look at the numbers, black women are facing them in a more intense manner. But there is nothing subtle about what is going on around discrimination. Because if it was subtle, we would not have such a big divide. It is quite overt.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, what is the status? I wanted to ask you. I'm not clear exactly on whether Changing the Face of Medicine is out now, whether people can see it yet, and if so, where they would be able to see it, that kind of thing.
Well, Changing the Face of Medicine is an initiative which is composed of 3 parts. One part is the book, Against All Odds, Black Women in Medicine. Another part is the National Education Tour. And then the third part is the film, Black Women in Medicine. And so right now with the film, we are in negotiations for a distribution in early 2016. So right now we are taking the book on the road, and we're in Washington, D.C., we will be in New Rochelle, New York. We'll be in Manhattan, New York. We'll be in Philadelphia. We'll be in Atlanta, Georgia in January. And that by itself is just a phenomenon. There is no book out there like that celebrates these Black women doctors.
And I have the book. I treasure it. I appreciate it. Where can people go to find out more about you and this initiative, or these multiple initiatives?
You can go to our website, all one word, changingthefaceofmedicine.org. Again, that's all one word, changingthefaceofmedicine.org. Or you can go to Facebook, Black Women MDs, or you can Twitter, Black Women MDs.
All right, and then I guess the last question for you, Crystal Emery, how can average people, listeners, I mean, nobody's average, but how can listeners or interested people help change this situation?
You know what I always say? I say I'm an ordinary person, but ordinary people can do extraordinary things. You know, we have an inner compass. You know, some people call it God, some people call it universal mind, some people call it sixth sense. But it doesn't cost to do the right thing. You know, the moment that you stop paying attention, the moment that you stop standing up for what is right, you become part of the problem. So everybody has a part that they can do, but the biggest part is looking at how racism exists within yourself. How do you discriminate against other people? You know, and even myself, I believe that we all are racist to one degree because we've been fed that. So, you know, that famous song, you know, start by looking at the man in the mirror.
Right.
And then go do something. You know, acts of kindness don't cost you anything. You know, volunteer, mentor somebody. You know, buy a book. If you really, ordinary people want to do something, buy Against All Odds, Black Women in Medicine, and give it as a gift to a library or a child. But there's so many things that your heart will tell you what is right.
Well, that's a great answer. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. The book is Against All Odds, celebrating Black women in medicine. The initiative and the upcoming film is Changing the Face of Medicine. Crystal Emery, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.